Hi everyone, welcome to week two. Just wanted to kind of go over the new format for our video summaries and also talk a little bit about how we're doing these. Talk a little bit about what we talked about last week in week one and kind of the process moving forward. So the video summary is obviously a little different than what you've been doing in your regular weekly summary. Thought it would be a little more informative than just kind of typing out some stuff in the classroom. I've got some negative feedback on that, so I wanted to do something perhaps a little more interesting, maybe a little more interactive in the ed puzzle. So you'll be doing ed puzzles, and what that is this video. You'll watch the video. You'll have some interactive questions that you'll be completing as we go through, and you'll have the opportunity to leave comments for me with any other questions you may have. Now, when we have a quiz, you'll be getting feedback on your quiz through this as well. But we didn't have a quiz in week one. I believe we only have one quiz throughout this class, so there isn't a lot of quiz feedback to leave. But I will try and leave feedback on the discussions and other assignments that we may have. The writing assignments, it's tough to leave feedback right away since they're not going to be graded on Monday. But as I scan them, if I see something quick that I can provide feedback to you on, I will do that. But so just kind of to jump into what we did talk about last week. Obviously, we talked a bit about the Affordable Care Act and a provision that was implemented, what provisions you felt were successful, etc. And I'm going to flip over here to a different screen. This is something that was put out by the Kaiser Family Foundation. What I thought was a helpful tool in looking at not only the Affordable Care Act, but the other uh, rules that are out there, the bills that are out there, or drafts. The one that was passed by the House already, and then the draft bill that's out there in the Senate as far as the repeal and replace options that we have out there for us. So the provisions of the ACA that were chosen most often through the discussion boards were the preventative care options, so different screenings and preventive care that people thought they were great options for patients to be able to go get their preventive care, their screenings at no copay, and to be able to get that free and be able to continue to stay well, get well, and move on with their care. Also, different wellness options that were afforded uh, to patients in their workplace. So, getting that and perhaps getting a discount on their health insurance. There was some positive and negative feedback about that, but generally it seemed that that was a positive because it did, kind of push the wellness agenda. So that was also a positive. Probably one of the most talked about was the young adults being able to stay on health insurance plans to age 26. That was a positive as well. So I did want to talk about this document here that I brought up a little bit. And we did talk about this in the boards, but I know that not everybody sees every post. So this is why I did want to talk about this a little bit. So this does talk about the three different plans. And one of the things that did come up in the board is, okay, well, this is in the ACA. How are these replacement plans dealing with these topics as well? So obviously we have the dependent coverage to age 26 is covered in the current ACA. How do the other replacement plans, how are they dealing with that? In both replacement plans, the Senate plan, which is here in the middle, as well as the House plan that's already been passed, they both are not planning to change that dependent coverage up to age 26. So at this point, it appears that everybody involved is interested in keeping that coverage. And as you may have seen in the discussions themselves, there are states, I think it's 7 states, that actually cover beyond age 26. So this is something that seems to have pretty good support across many areas, and I don't necessarily see that changing. I'm going to scroll up here a little bit on my screen. Um, some of those other areas that wellness, general wellness, preventive care, those are also areas that it seems like there's fairly good support for um, in the new plans as well. The 10 essential benefit categories not being changed in either of the new plans. If we scroll down here a little bit, um, cost sharing, preventive benefits with no cost sharing not changed, preventive benefits with no cost sharing not changed. So those types of things not changed in the new plans. The only thing that that could throw a cog in the wheel for some preventive care is the lack of funding to Planned Parenthood, and what may have to occur is there are plenty of women that go to Planned Parenthood for preventive care, for their preventive well care, their uh, cervical cancer, um, screenings, etc. So if there is decreased funding to Planned Parenthood, it's going to be a matter of education. Where can these ladies go to get additional care? Are there places that they can seek care, etc. So it's really going to have to be a push for where can we get help for these folks to go and get additional care if they're not going to be provided care at Planned Parenthood for these types of services. So I think that it's just a matter of shifting access if that care is not going to be available to them. And hopefully there would be places where there would be care available for that type of screening elsewhere. So generally, a lot of the things from a wellness perspective still going to remain the same. One thing that I thought was really interesting that I saw actually just this morning as I was perusing the news was that the White House came out, I think it was yesterday, and said there were some discussions on the Sunday news about the fact that they would be willing to, instead of doing, their talk has always been repeal and replace, and they always went hand in hand. Like there would always be a replacement plan immediately following a repeal of the ACA. But yesterday, one of the White House spokespeople came out and said that they're now considering, because of all of the disagreement amongst these two plans, in the fact that the Republicans can't even agree on these two plans, that they're now considering a repeal with no replace right away until there's some bipartisan support of those two plans or of a plan. So that would be interesting because that would really cause some significant issues in the industry. So that'll be something to watch moving forward. A repeal of the ACA with no replacement would send us back to what it was pre-ACA, and that would be a lot of people without coverage. Um, it would be very interesting. We were all here then. Well, not all of us, but a lot of us worked in the industry pre-ACA. It would be very interesting to see to go back to that, to see what the changes would be. So something to watch. A lot of times they talk, and that's really just to push the politicians to make decisions, but it'll be interesting to see where that discussion goes as well. So if you have any comments, questions on the items we discussed last week, let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to talking to you in the discussion boards, and you'll be getting some feedback on the papers and the discussions coming up this week. Thanks so much.